Telltale's The Walking Dead will undoubtedly go down in history as one of the best game series to ever exist, although there is something special that lies in the first two seasons of this game alone, and I'm not saying that because they're the older ones and more nostalgic. I'm saying it because they had this kind of charm or feel or just over-sensing narrative that the newer ones don't have. And I'm going to explain in this video what I mean by that, and I'll go in depth into how the seasons were such a success and why I think that they are some of the best story games to ever be released. On top of that, I also want to discuss in this video how these games can provide a narrative that almost no other game I've ever played or seen has. So let's start off with the game that me and many others consider to be one of the saddest in video game history and very emotionally attaching. So, that game, of course, being The Walking Dead Season 1. Before we do get into this video, though, I would like to apologize for my stutter and stamper, as it might be distracting during the video. Anyways, let's just get right into it. The game starts us off in the back of a police car, with a cop driving us along the highway. Nothing looks out of the ordinary until we actually are attacked by zombies and are obviously, of course, driven off the road. But the reason why this game starts off with this jarred opening, I believe, is to show how, right before all this happened, how easy it was to get out, how easy it was to escape all the chaos that was ensued to happen. Lee is being driven along the road by a cop car, which is going several miles per hour down an empty freeway, which could very easily take them out of Georgia, or maybe even down to Mexico or Canada in some direction. But as soon as we crash in that car, then we're trapped in Georgia for the rest of our lives, actually. In the entire series, nobody ever leaves Georgia. They never get out of state. They never go across the water. They just stay in Georgia for the rest of their lives. And I also think this is something that the creators of the game wanted to show off, that these characters, no matter how much supplies they have, no matter how many guns they have, no matter how many people they have, they cannot defeat the herd. It's sort of like a plague. It's sort of like math.
I hate math.
It's indefinite. There will always be more dead people than alive people on the earth. And I feel like that's what the game wants to convey, that if you're going to have a family of people, of anybody, you need to trust them and know who they are and get to know them better and make sure you're not just acting with a bunch of strangers who will eventually just turn on you and kill you or leave you to die for themselves. This is also conveyed much better in the second season, where the theme is shifted from gathering a family of well-trusted strangers to just living and playing along with these people who you don't trust or you might not even know. And I also feel like that has something to tie into with the fact that everybody who you meet in the game, every character, is almost certain to die. There's not a chance that any character is going to survive more than one season. Of course, Kenny made the exception, although with every character in the game dying maybe a couple episodes into their arrival, it's kind of somehow still sad to see them go, even though you know they're going to die off, and you know that it's a Telltale game, and that means they have to punch you in the heart every time with a new episode, just when you think things are going right. And that's mainly this overall atmosphere of Season 1. This group of people who you know are going to die, although you still protect them and cherish them and try and have as many good times as you can with them and live through with your group, but everybody does die in the end, and in the end, the only person left to protect is, of course, Clementine, who you basically sacrifice yourself to get to in the end, which leaves the moment we have all seen before, and I'm not going to put up on screen right now, just for purpose's sake, but the moment does convey a sense of attitude that shows that even if we are going to die, we need to live our lives to protect the people we love and the people who we want to see live on through our dignity. And I feel like that perfectly conveys into Season 2, where the setting has changed drastically and the atmosphere is much, much darker. Season 2, and I feel I might get a lot of hate for this, but I feel that Season 2 is much better than the first season. It introduces a much more, not likable, but entertaining group of characters who have a lot more story and feels behind them than the first season. Obviously, with it being the second installment and being a sequel, of course there's going to be more effort and more work into it, but I just like this one more than the first. Also, now playing as Clementine and her being about 11 years old in this game, the game does feel much more grounded and a lot funner to actually play and interact. This game does not have much losing or winning. You just kind of choose what you say. You're never going to get a lose ending or a you suck ending. It's always whatever ending you set out for yourself to get. So, when in this game, eventually the ending does come, instead of feeling like a family game and focusing on the ones you love, this game purely feels more focused on survival and just living in general and trying to make the best of what's happening or just trying to live in general, like I just said. But with everybody, of course, dying once again in this game, as you'll see time and time again in every Telltale game, you know that you're probably going to be the last one left, and there's nothing you can really do about it because all the people you see along the way will either die sooner or later, and thousands of episodes with this being the zombie apocalypse die along the way, but they never do, and
you just can't.
This does give the sense of dread because you know they are going to eventually die, and when they finally do, even though you do expect it, it's just kind of a pain to see. The most painful part in the game is definitely the ending, where Mike and Bonnie and Arvo do attempt to steal and leave the truck without you. It's very unexpected, and you don't feel like this is ever coming. It's just kind of there. Then when you get shot, and eventually leaving the car with Jane and Kenny, it builds up high-stress paranoia because you know that's not going to be it. That's not just going to be the ending to this game where time and time again we're shown everybody dies, and there's no forgiveness, or there's no friendliness, and there's no good endings. So when the truck does stop and you get to the rest stop and Jane claims to have killed the baby, you do know what you're going to have to do, and even though you don't really think this has to play out like this, it does, because the sense of suspense that Kenny has built up does leave the group with lots of terror to leave and just run away, as you know Clementine will side with him in the end. But the real ending, where you do get to the town, I forget the name, apologies, where Kenny has to leave you and AJ, is probably sadder than the original game's ending, as Kenny isn't dead, he's just there, and he loves you, and he loves the baby, and he doesn't want to leave you, but he has to in order to ensure your safety, which sadly never comes, as we all know what happens in the later seasons. So that is the true beauty of The Walking Dead. Hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, and of course, I will see you in the next one.